The following is a recording of the 7th session from the BBS UK Saturday Conference Programme 2016. Digital Accessibility by Spinks, RNIB.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. A slightly croaky throat. Really good presentation. Thank you, Melina. That was absolutely fascinating. My only disappointment is that I won't be able to attend your workshop because I'll be presenting one in an adjacent room, but I look forward to hearing all about it. Really thought-provoking, and it was just great to listen to that. It's a real pleasure to be here at the conference, and I just, as someone who's been here for the first time, I'd just like to congratulate the organisers of this conference. I've only been here this morning, but I think it's been absolutely fantastic. I think everyone should give them a round of applause. So my name's Spinks. I do work for RNIB, as I was introduced. But what I want to talk to you about in this particular session is a little trailer, if you like, for my workshop this afternoon. But I think it links very nicely to what Melina's just been talking about. So I want to talk about enabling possibilities through self-advocacy and through digital accessibility. Often people talk about technology as if it's kind of over there. It's like something that is the domain of geeks, and it's very, high-flying, and actually you have to be really capable and really, outward-looking in order to master it. And I'd like to just blow apart some of the myths around getting started with technology, and I will do that this afternoon. And actually, one of the things that brought it home to me very recently, that anyone at any stage in life can benefit from using technology. I was giving a talk a little bit like this to the Macular Society, and I was talking about what various apps on mobile phones can do and various pieces of technology, mainstream and specialist. And this lady who was in the audience, who introduced herself as being 72 years of age, she said, she interrupted and she said, "Can I just ask a question?" She said, "It's all right for an articulate 40-year-old like you to be enthusing about technology, but I'm 72 and it's a lot more difficult when you're 72 to use technology, and it's a lot more difficult to get started." So I said, "That's a fair point, let's talk about that." And just as I said that, another member of the audience got up and said, "Excuse me, I'm old enough to be his granny, and I'm old enough to be your mother, and I'm 91, and I've just learned how to use a smartphone, so just you get on with it, my dear." And the 72-year-old came and found me at the break, and she said to me, "I feel as if I've had a telling off." And I said, "Well, I think you have had, but it's all good. Let's just talk about it." So a little bit about me. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I qualified as a careers advisor at the end of 1998. Did anyone have a good careers advisor at school? No? Anyone have a bad careers advisor at school? Okay. So my motivation was that I wanted to try and become a good careers advisor. I did it for a little while, and then I ended up very quickly moving into the world of disability. And a number of things kept me there, or have kept me there for the past 15 years. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. So I've worked in disability for 15 years in the UK, but also in 34 countries around the world, across Africa, South Asia, and the Caribbean. And you might be thinking, hang on a minute, how does a visually impaired guy do that? One of the things that happened to me was that around about the age of 30, I decided I wanted to go traveling. And I was en route to a very good friend from university. I was en route to their house to go and talk about going traveling for a Friday night. And I got this phone call about this job that was a traveling job, working all over the world and working with health sector NGOs and disability NGOs. And I thought, I have to apply for that job. And I did, and I got the job. And I spent 5 years just traveling and doing 25 weeks a year, constantly flying around the world, traveling, supporting projects, doing evaluations, doing research. Some people that I know and love very dearly said to me, look, you're mad. You're partially sighted. You know, you're registered severely visually impaired. Is it really all that sensible for you to be doing that? Now, of course, this was like a red rag to a bull. Because if those of us in the audience who've got a visual impairment, if someone tells us you can't do that, what does that make you feel like? It does. It makes you feel, maybe initially it makes you feel a bit down, like Melina was talking about, and a little bit despondent. But actually, for me, it makes me think, just watch me, right? Here I go. So when those beautiful people said to me, look, you can't do this, I said, listen, guys, just watch me. I'm off. They said, oh, but what about traveling? What about being on your own? And you'll not be able to recognize people, and you know, you might be taken advantage of, and you might get kidnapped. And I said, it's true. All of those are possibilities. But you know what? I look at life's challenges as opportunities. That's just the way that I'm wired. I look at a challenge as an opportunity. I don't typically use the word problem. I try and think about something as a challenge, and it's there to be overcome. I'm a keen cyclist, so it was really good to hear the personal profile earlier on about cycling. It's amazing how many people think that visually impaired people don't cycle or couldn't cycle. I tend to do a lot of nighttime cycling, and I really enjoy that. I often follow someone who can see perfectly well, who's wearing brightly coloured, high-vis jacket, and it just keeps me right. But to date, it's been a very safe and enjoyable pursuit. I'm also a walker and a skydiver. So a couple of years ago, decided to chuck myself out of a plane at 13,000 feet. Has anyone done that? Superb fun. I would highly recommend it. And somebody said to me, is it not a bit more difficult if you're visually impaired? And I don't know, I'd never even thought about that. In fact, that thought crossed my mind just as I was about to tumble out of a plane that was doing 190 miles an hour. It's quite a sensation to be in an aircraft at 190 miles an hour when the back door is open. And even more of a sensation when you remember that you're about to be bailed out like a sack of mail. So I can highly recommend it. I also used to show Cocker Spaniels. Anyone got a Cocker Spaniel in the audience? Yep, they're beautiful dogs. So, again, dog showing, not the pursuit that you expect someone who's visually impaired to do, because there's a lot of nodding and winking, and, there's a lot of non-visual body language goes on. So you have to navigate your way around that. As a student, I used to buy and sell used cars. So I wonder how many of you in the audience have bought a car from someone who has a disability or who's visually impaired. I can't see your hands, but I'm guessing there's not that many hands going up, because we don't expect, when we go to buy a new car, we just don't expect to buy a car from someone who's visually impaired. Now that's a terrible thing, isn't it? But we've got a stereotype of car salespeople. So it was really good fun to bust that when people would turn up to look at a vehicle. It would be a 2-year-old BMW, guaranteed mileage, full service history, one owner, slightly higher mileage than you'd expect, but good price, and we'll do a good deal. And people would expect me to take it out for a test run, and I would give them the keys. So, you've got, again, constantly busting stereotypes. One of the things that I've been really passionate about is the use of mobile technology, and particularly smartphones as life devices for people with a disability. And I think it gets really interesting when you take it into the realms of mindfulness and meditation, as Melina was mentioning earlier on. The smartphone starts to become the Swiss Army knife in your pocket, because it's just an incredible tool. I'm really interested in its potential for reducing anxiety and facilitating access. So some applications I'm going to talk about this afternoon that I've been using that have actually dropped my anxiety levels. An app that I used to get me here today is called Train Times, and it is a simple little piece of software that runs on your phone, and it enables me to very, very quickly and very accurately find out where my train is leaving from. You know those big departure boards that you get in train stations? You know the big black boards with the orange text? Well, I'll let you into a little secret. They're not actually designed for humans. They're designed for giraffes. That's why they're up at giraffe height. So if you're partially sighted and you wander up to the board, it's way up there and you can't read it. So, I used to take something like a little monocular to read it. That then gets the security people really interested. I've had my monocular confiscated on 5 occasions in different airports around the world. In fact, I've actually sat in a little room while it was deconstructed, just to check that I wasn't transporting anything inside it. So, the wonderful thing about a smartphone is that everyone's got one. Wherever you go, people are glued to their screens, aren't they? In pubs, people, like even 10 years ago in pubs, they used to be chatting to one another, and there's so many people just on their screens, The football is on in the pub, and they're watching someone's commentary of it on their iPhone or their Android device or whatever. But, we've become a nation of screen-obsessed people from a very early age. So I'm really interested in the potential of that. There's an application called Hotel Tonight. If you've ever found yourself working in a strange location and maybe your day goes on a bit longer than you were expecting and you need to stay an extra day, I've got this application on my phone called Hotel Tonight, and I timed it from making the decision that I need to stay in a place to actually having secured a hotel room and paid for it. I was able to do it in 34 seconds, which I think is pretty quick. The rider to that is that you have your bank details inside the app stored securely, so that when you make the decision that you need accommodation, you can very, very quickly, your phone knows where you are. It'll say to you, how far away do you want your hotel to be? You say 1.5 miles or half a mile or however far, and voila, it's booked. You've booked your hotel. So really interesting. Really interested also in artificial intelligence and what we often call the human cloud. So all of those smartphone helpers that are out there. If you're interested in any of this, and let me tell you, it's not complicated. If you make it complicated, it will be complicated. That's one of my kind of mottos in life, is that something is complicated if you make it complicated. Typically people try to make things simple, but maybe a lot of that's about mental attitude. If you expect something to be difficult and complicated, it possibly will be. But if you see it as something that you could overcome, then probably you will. Staying on that theme, and again kind of linking into the last talk, there's a really cool application for any phone, any smartphone that you may have, and it's called Headspace. I wonder if anyone's heard of Headspace. Anyone heard of Headspace? So it's described as a gym membership for your mind. Think about that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Imagine going to the gym. You know when you stretch your muscles and you do exercise and you go to the gym for half an hour, you come home and you sit down and you might just feel, you kind of feel like all of the tension's gone out of your muscles and you just feel good. And you probably feel tired, but when you go to bed, typically you'll have a better sleep. Well, this is a little bit like that for your mind. So it's more than just a blog. It's a daily dose of mindfulness to accompany your cornflakes or commute. So you can switch it on your phone. You can have a little 10-minute meditation. No one need know about it. You've got your headphones on. You could be listening to anything. So you can keep it completely private. And one of the things that Headspace talks about, the founder of Headspace, a guy called Andy Puddicombe, there's a couple of really good videos on YouTube if you're interested. He says that we can't change the things that happen to us in life, but we can change the way that we experience them. And it really struck a chord with me as a visually impaired person to hear this, because I was actually thinking this is not targeted at people with a visual impairment, but hang on a minute, this is so relevant. And actually the more you think about it and the more you get into it, we're all experiencing stuff on a daily basis. It's coming at us in the train station, in the cinema, in the doctor's surgery, at work, out and about. We're all kind of ingesting, life and experiencing people and places. And actually, if we can find out how to do that a little bit more smoothly and a little bit more happily, wouldn't that be really cool? whether or not we've got a visual impairment. And I think if you have a visual impairment, it's probably more applicable because we sometimes experience those things a bit more acutely, you know. And I'm sure we've all had occasions where we think, look, we're on top of the world, we're managing things really well, and then something happens and the wheels fall off, yeah, and you kind of feel like it's a real pain to do things and really difficult. And actually, this is just one little tool that can help you with that. But kind of finalizing my segue into this afternoon session, there's a little, kind of like a little mnemonic, a little motto that I learned a few years ago, and I learned it at a conference like this, and it really stuck with me. And I think it's actually influenced a lot of the things that I've done since. And it's a little formula for thinking about life, thinking about technology, thinking about people and situations that you might get yourself into, and how you might experience them more positively and a little bit more vibrantly. So when you come across something that feels like it's a challenge or a difficult situation, what you need to do is you need to reach out, okay? And reach out, I'm going to tell you what it stands for, and then people can see whether they remember at the end. I won't test anyone. So R is about reassurance. We all need that. We need to sometimes give it to ourselves and to people around us. Just reassuring one another that we're all human beings, and sometimes we struggle with stuff. And actually, that's fine. It's okay. But reassuring ourselves and reassuring one another is really, really important. I think technology's got a massive role in doing that, and we'll look at some examples this afternoon. E stands for energy and effort, because you'll constantly need an endless supply of both of those things. And you'll actually need to top those up. And that's one of the things we can all do, is find out what actually enables us to top up our energy and our effort. You know, for me, coming to eye condition conferences like this, I think it's a great way of topping up your energy and effort, because you might feel really tired at the end of it, but actually it replenishes your reserves, because you spend time with other people who know what it's like to have the condition that you have. And that's a hugely important thing to do. So energy and effort. A is for assertiveness. Really, really important to separate assertiveness from feeling aggressive and feeling annoyed, as people often do, because we're all humans. But assertiveness is about being able to communicate really clearly how you feel and what you would like to happen. Some of the most assertive people that I've ever met are also some of the nicest people. So there's never a need to be aggressive or to be loud to be assertive. Okay, cool. C is for courage, because you'll need a lot of that. That's about finding your own personal courage to deal with situations and to challenge things. H is for humor, because a laugh always helps. It really does. If you get into any kind of disability situation, if you can bring humor into it, and we know it's not always easy to do that. It can be really difficult. But when you can, it'll help, and it'll make you feel better, and it'll make other people feel more at ease. O is for over there. That's just remembering that sometimes what we have to do is just distract people and pull their attention away from us if we're feeling like we're being fussed over and things are being too heated. U is for understanding, because that's what makes the world a better place. The more that we can understand, the more we can understand technology, one another, people, places. But understanding is absolutely key for everything that we do. That's why we're here today at this conference, because we're all deepening our understanding. I've learned so much since came here this morning. T is the last letter. Does anyone want to have a guess before I wrap up what T might be for? T should be for technology, shouldn't it? T is actually for try again. So if none of this works, you try again. So reassurance, energy and effort, assertiveness, courage, humor, over there, understanding, and try again. I'll leave that with you. It's been lovely to talk to you all, and I look forward to chatting to people as the day progresses. Please do consider coming along to the workshop. But, you know, there's stiff competition. There's a great portfolio of workshops this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the conference. And you know what? Above all, reach out and stay positive. Thank you.